class itself, we have different generations of consumers, and we'll try to figure out how do we, see this new things that are emerging, especially with respect to Zostel case. If say we have to attract different generations of customers to Zostel, how do we do it? Because at the end of the day, the attitude now among all consumers is that they would like to look for more economies, and they are interested in purchasing more and more products than they could afford with the cash by using credit cards or by using any financial instruments that are provided by banks or any other institutions which are interested in selling products to these consumers. How it happened? It happened largely after 2000, thanks to the banks that have been a bit liberal in terms of the financial transactions and trying to provide as much loans as possible to the consumers, and thereby helping them to afford certain things which they couldn't afford earlier. Also, I think increased marketing activity and increased advertising from the marketer's side that you will be able to afford this. Please don't worry about cash in hand, but we have got different ways in which we can help you with your affordability aspect. Now, because of that, a drastic change you can see among all socioeconomic classes of the Indian market. And not only that, you could also see a lot of change in the purchasing patterns across generations of consumers belonging to different socioeconomic classes. So there is some bit of commonality that you can observe with respect to especially the spending pattern and the aspiration to purchase certain things. But at the same time, there is also some distinctions which we need to understand so that the specific idiosyncrasies of that generation are understood very well. And thereby, we will be able to position our products in a better manner, and we should be in a position to market and make profits for our organization. So that's what we are going to look at today. So let's first of all look at the notes, and then we will try to go into the details of how we will talk to different consumers belonging to different generations for our Zostel, let us say, specifically for that. So Generation X is the set of consumers because, let's not worry about anyone who is born before 1965, largely because they might have already achieved everything they would have wanted, because they have faced utmost difficulties in life, and the symbolism of achieving something in their life and making something of themselves, as well as the whole joint family structure, is one characteristic of the people who are born before 1965. So they not only worry about their achievements and their personal ambitions, but they have also taken care of the ambitions and the achievements of all the family members, not simply their siblings, but probably the related siblings that they have in the bigger joint family structures. And at that point in time, for people before 1965, I think it is not materialism, so to say, but it is the personal relationships and family ties that come first compared to any material comforts. So it is your responsibilities towards your family, your kith and kin, and your immediate social network. That is what is the value, or more or less the assets that they have accumulated. And I think that is what has also paved a way for them as well as their next generation in terms of achievements, in terms of acquiring material possessions, in terms of acquiring networks for establishing businesses and leapfrogging in the business. Let me take the example from, let us say, a Marwadi community. I think someone who is born before 1965 has traveled a lot and established family ties and established kith and kin network and supported all his family members to settle in various parts of India as a country. And because of that solid relationships that they were able to build, they have paved the way for success for the next generation of businessmen and women from their family as well as their community. And that has actually eased the way of doing business for the entrepreneurs of the next generation, because the knowledge that was not given to them by the management institutions, or the hurdles that were put forward by the governments, successive governments of independent India, were all maneuvered thanks to these first generation individuals and their what you call interest in not materialistic things but establishing networks. So I think even though we are starting this with a generation X, I think the generation before that is also very important for a country like India, because in many these things, um, ठीक है 1965 to 80, probably I have taken a different source and you are looking into a different source. It doesn't really matter. But especially in that generation, 4 years is not going to be a big problem in that sense. But so when you say this kind of generation has given you the aspiration, has set forward the value systems for you to work on, and given the conditions, the hardships that they have faced, facing hardships is also part of your life, is the motive that was given to the generation X people. So who are these guys? 1965 to 1976 or 1980, let us say, who are at the in the age range of 35 to 50, let us say. So these are the people who have never had a landline telephone in their house. They've used, let us say, public telephone for their communication purpose, postal and telegraph for their purpose, but they have seen the advent of landlines in their house. Then came the pages in their house. Then came the feature phones in their house, and then came the desktop computers, laptops, and smartphones in their house, and then the digital technology and social media. So if you talk to the generation X, these are the set of individuals who have seen the spectrum of instruments which are used for communication, starting from writing a letter physically to that of sending an email through a digital instrument. So in that sense, they have got a larger this thing, in the in their memory. So that is very very important. Industrious and self-reliant, it is largely because these guys have been raised by individuals who have faced severe hardships. So I think that kind of brought in that industrious nature. Independent thinking, it's largely because the parents, what you call, had no time in terms of spoon feeding you everything. So they left the decisions on you to figure out what is good for you, in the sense that if you want to be something, I think you should put in all the hard work and effort to become something. But they stood as an example for you that hard work can definitely get you something in life. So that is what you can say is led to that independent thinking, which nowadays international schools say that, oh, please, do something and give freedom to the child. The child is like a little rosebud opening up. Let the child flourish. Let her be like a butterfly and all that. Okay, this is need not be told to Indians by an international school English speaking, what you call teacher, but it is already known to the what you call the generation Xers who have been doing this and who have learned it from their parents. Skeptic as well as pragmatic, because yes, you have faced resource constraints in your life. At the same time, you are also reaching out to some sort of security in terms of your life. security in terms of your health, security in terms of your finances, which is the reason why you're slightly cautious in terms of the money that you spend and interested in acquiring those things which will have long term impact on your life as well as the life of your children. Then financially responsible, obviously these people are having families, so they have a lot more commitments, which is the reason why they're a bit skeptic in terms of instruments that they want to invest in. And at the same time, they're also interested in taking a little bit of what called risk in terms of the new things that are coming in. But so one has to be approaching these individuals with a bit of caution, and one has to be detailed enough in terms of explaining all the nuances if you want to sell a product or a service to these guys. The technology savvy in the sense because they've seen a spectrum of things, so they're doing a bit of triangulation. What are the newspapers saying? What are the digital newspapers saying? What is being said in the TV and what is being said in the YouTube podcast about the same instance? Okay, so I was just curious about this female from Pakistan who has come via the Nepal border, and she is doing Karwa Chauth for her husband, the Indian husband, So we would like to read about her background that was given in a very, very responsible and respectable newspaper as to who this female is. At the same time, we're interested in watching ABP News, which always talks about this female from, Pakistan. And every time there is an Indian festival, I think they put a camera in her house. And so, yeah, everybody likes it, and she gets a lot of YouTube mileage for you. So we are interested in seeing her newspaper article. Then we are interested in seeing what the digital news has to say, what the YouTube influencers are saying about her, and what is being said on the television and radio as well. So, in that sense, I think you are looking at so many media outlets for triangulating the information, for cross referencing the information to figure out who this person is. So, if you are, what you call interested in investigating about a non-entity from Pakistan, I think you will definitely invest a lot more time and in money when you are saying you purchasing mutual funds or you are investing to purchase a real estate property or you're investing in your child's education. So I think it's those again the nuances part of it is what is to be considered. Liberal and socially conscious, liberal largely because we've been trained by the Congress government and leftist communists. That's why we are being very, very liberal in our outlook. And we've been hidden, a lot of facts and figures about our history, about our origins, about our own culture, and all that. That's the reason why I think we are very liberal. But at the same time, we are being liberal because we've been raised by a set of parents who have seen what it feels like to be stifled in terms of freedom, and they have given us a glimpse of freedom. So we are also a bit liberal in our outlook. So what we didn't get, we would like to give to the next generation. Loyalty, obviously, again, here I would like you to see loyalty in two different ways. One, because you have come out of that scarcity, and that's the reason why you have less market knowledge. That is the reason why you are being loyal to certain products. Okay, so loyalty need not be that always you like the product, you really appreciate the value that the product is giving. That is why you are loyal. Okay, that's what we are telling you all through in the marketing class. But please understand the loyalty is also because of the scarcity that these people have gone through. So for you and me, it is only Colgate. Okay, why? Because there was only Binaka Sibaka, and then Binaka Sibaka went off, and then came Colgate. And after a long period of time, there was Close Up, which was looked down upon for some time and later on to be only accepted. And thanks to your Aishwarya Rai and Sushmita Sen, this toothpastes were made famous, and then came an onslaught of so many toothpastes, now ending with Dant Kanti. So our loyalties were more towards Colgate, not because Colgate was giving us the highest of value, but Colgate was the only choice that we had And we also didn't had the mechanism or mental structure or framework to analyze so many products and their value. Okay, what we have learned from the Sushmita Sen and Aishwarya Rai's era is that more and more damsels have started advertising the products and became brand ambassadors for these products at least for a decade or more. And thanks to them, we got introduced to so many products, and then we started accumulating a lot more knowledge. And that's the reason why I think some of us are loyal to certain products, not because of the value that we appreciate, but because it has become a second nature for us. So, and at the same time, we're also interested in spending a lot of money on luxury brands, largely because we have seen the scarcity of it, so proving to the world that we have achieved something would only come when you acquire something. So you acquiring your first car, you acquiring your first expensive mobile phone, you acquiring your first expensive watch. So all those things are like status symbols, and that's the reason why you're interested in even spending more money on that. So how do we connect with this generation? So can you please focus on value and quality? And please, very, very detailed in a nuanced way, can you explain what is it that you're offering to this generation? And you have to be present across the media outlets. Thereby, you are also helping them to triangulate the data, and you are convincing them that your product is really of value. And they see the demonstrations and the way the salespeople interact and all. So we have to be very well aligned in all the places when we are talking about our product, thereby convincing the Generation Xers in terms of purchasing the products and services that we are offering. And then we have to also talk about convenience, time saving, child friendliness, and stuff like that, because you're a bit paranoid when it comes to things being used by your children. And then there is also that environmental awareness. Here, I would like to quote my own personal this thing. In the sense of using a paper, you know, I always try to make use of all the papers that I take print out for classes on the reverse side of it. And every bit of paper I try to make use of, and then only once it is completely utilized, I give it off. So even when we say we collect back the question papers, I tear off the one of the papers which has got one side of it vacant, and I try to use that for other purposes. Now, compare it to my daughter, who uses at least 4 or 5 white papers every now and then. And then in the school, she's being told that has to save Mother Earth. So she very nicely tells you the story of saving the Mother Earth, but at the same time, utilizing papers left, right, and center. And every time I ask her, when are you going to save the Mother Earth? She says, next week, I'm definitely going to save the Mother Earth. Okay, so this is the difference between the Generation X to which I belong and Generation Alpha to which my daughter belongs. So there is that environmental concerns, which you can definitely see through. And email marketing would still work with them because they will be interested in opening some of the emails. But again, please keep this in mind that this is a generation which has evolved with time. So it's not necessary that they are going to look at your emails all the time. They may also be constrained for a time, which is the reason why they may put your emails in the spam box, just like the next generation guys. So please be careful in terms of understanding that this generation has evolved with technology. So their habits might have been also changing with the terms of technology and the ease that the technology is providing to them. So some old habits will be there, but at the same time, they're acquiring new habits because they are in the process of continuous learning. You know, so then they're saying this generation is less prone to moving in waves of trends and more likely to be buy or service or product somehow benefit the society or environment. Yes, at the same time, you have consciousness for the environment, but at the same time, when there is the same product available at a much advantageous price, you're also looking for it. At least that's what you can say about Indians, because we believe in balancing things. So we really don't want to spend too much money just because one organization is making claims about the environment. But we would like to make an assessment, and we want the organization to give us a real proof that if the organization is really doing something for the environment, can you please prove it to us? So, like you purchasing notebooks from what you call this ITC, yeah, you want to know what is it that the ITC Bhadrachalam factory is doing before you purchase these notebooks. And so ITC Bhadrachalam is trying to write articles about itself and the environmental friendliness with which it is it is releasing the effluents after treatment, and how much of plants they are putting in so that they can care for the environment, and the green co platinum ratings that this organization is achieving in terms of its reduction towards the contribution of pollution towards the environment. So I think some of those things you need to look into. So lifestyle nurturing programs, so baby are us or toys are yours, some programs you can definitely look into. These examples you can look at later on, but motamoti, this is what it is for the the generation X fellows. So generation Y or millennials are the guys who are born after 1988, 1 to 2000, let us say, and they are the more people, at least in Indian context, these are more liberated individuals, largely because they have got at least some more prosperity in their lives, thanks to the parents and the family members that they've had who had really worked hard to provide this kind of lifestyle. And at the same time, they were also born at a stage where India was liberalizing and bringing in a lot more products and services for this country. So they were being introduced to more and more products. So there was more choice for them, and thanks to the previous generation, there is already the knowledge that is available in their mind as to how to make an assessment of a product. So even if you push 10 products in front of them, they'll be very, very nicely be able to, what you call decipher the value of each product, and they'll be able to, pick one of the best products that suits them, to suits their best interest. Notoriously soft-hearted and soft-shelled, valuing social issues far ahead of economies. So, in the sense, you might say they're more worried about what is happening all around, and they've already enjoyed a little bit of freedom and little bit of prosperity. So, they're also a bit concerned about what's going to happen. Also, because they're seeing more garbage on the streets, largely because of the prosperity that we have achieved and the more market economy that we were able to become, we were able to provide more services and more plastic has entered in our lives, which is also a cause of concern for these individuals. Least frequent in-store shoppers, largely because they've got an opportunity to turn into online medium, and thereby I think they are interested in more of ease that can be provided by the concerned firms, which are able to reach out to them thanks to the improvement of transportation, thanks to the availability of internet. I think they are interested in reducing their time on these unnecessary chores and trying to save a little bit of time so that they can enjoy their life much better. They're unresponsive to traditional tactics. May not be the case, but they're slowly losing interest in the traditional tactics of advertising and marketing yourself, largely because there are new mediums that are emerging, and because they are being trained since childhood about the new technologies, so they do not have any hesitations in terms of understanding and adopting new technologies much faster compared to their previous generation, which is the reason why, unless you are present in all types of mediums in which these millennials are present, it may not be so very easy for you to sell your products to these guys. So please focus on innovation, but doesn't mean that the generation X or the previous generation does not encourage innovation. But yes, you may have to talk more about the innovation aspects of it, or probably using the lingo much better is what this generation wants. And also in the sense of balancing a little bit of environment and cause of social concerns, and along with the prosperity is what we need to focus on. They also make use of reviews because now they are into digital mediums, so they are able to get more reviews. So what you and I in the generation X did in terms of asking a friend or waiting for somebody to explain certain things to us, these people are logging into some online medium and they are downloading all reviews, and then they are going to the online space to purchase that particular product. Yeah, social media is the most important element in the lives of these individuals. So how best can we make use of social media, and thereby benefiting these individuals in terms of providing with the information and also explaining the value of your product in much lesser time. Then utilize rewards or loyalty programs. Yes, these people are interested in loyalty programs, but there should be, what you call more value that is communicated to them, as to not just being a member and you will get 1 or 2 points or something, but what's in it for me for lifelong if I'm loyal to your organization is what you need to communicate. Some of the examples can be your Starbucks or Jet Airways or something like that. You know, and again, radio commercials can be used now thanks to the COVID, and also the what you call the transport system that we have. I think everyone either having a personal pod in their ears through which they are listening to music, or they're listening to the radio that is being played out in that transportation vehicle. So I think now getting back to the radio is becoming a big thing. And especially after the pandemic, I think the number of advertisements over the radio has increased like anything. Be subtle and genuine, because unless you say, whatever you are trying to do is really impacting the society, these people are not going to trust you. So it's not just saying that you are really what you call a good organization. We believed in Tata Sons being Generation Xers because let us say they have started so many colleges, they were given so many funds. Probably we've also benefited from their scholarship programs and all. But these millennials also want Tata to talk a little more about itself and the responsible activity it is doing through social media, so that they can trust this brand and then purchase more of its products. Time is everything, so please be careful in terms of how much time in which you would like to sell your product and demonstrate your product, and what all the features you would like to talk about. So don't put too much fluff in the advertisements. Please be careful as to what you are trying to say and how best you can present your product in the least possible time. And yes, think advertising, as out of the box. I think this out of the box thinking is true for all the generations. That is, in different generations of ours, I think each time we have seen the storyteller, that is from the advertising agency, presenting the story in a different and in a very innovative way. We've all appreciated it. So it need not be a generation dependent thing, but thinking out of the box is always favorable to all types of generations. But it is easier said than done, thinking out of the box. Let me give you the example of Rishikesh Mukherjee. Some of you must know him, the comedy filmmaker who made this, what you call, Golmaal. That Amol Palekar wala, not the latest Golmaal by your Rohit Chetty. So in that now if you see Rishikesh Mukherjee's movies, you can actually predict what will be the next plot or what will be the next star cast and what sort of social context he will pick up. And once that era went off, and he is unable to convince the next generation, I think he faded away. So, like you can say now, your RRR films director, Rajamouli, you can see that he too appears as if he is thinking out of the box, but he too will fade away once the generation changes and the marketing tactics of his are no more working very well with the new generation. Okay. So in that sense, I think thinking out of the box, you can attend some design thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking. ये जो workshops online में offer करते हैं, ये सब you can attend all of it. But the thing is, unless thinking out of the box becomes an internal distinct nature of yours, second nature of yours, it isn't easy. Also, it is not very easy for a particular individual to remain an out of the box thinker all his life. Okay. After a point in time, they become stale and they become very, very routine and very much predictable. Which means what? If you are a marketing head of an organization, you cannot rely on a single person to do the out of the box thinking. The same person cannot do the out of the box thinking. There needs to be a new blood which will think and line with the new generation of consumers who are coming into the market and appears to be out of the box for them. Okay, but in here, I would like to let me just stop sharing here and write this word called Bauhaus. I want you to. Now, some of you must be engineers, so you would definitely enjoy watching this DW documentary on Bauhaus. I want you to watch this just out of curiosity, while you are traveling, and you are you have little free time. It is a 2 or 3 part documentary, but this 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 documentary of Bauhaus actually talks about the way in which out of the box thinking has been instilled among individuals and through an institution, so they have created an institution, not Netflix, Sanyogita. You will get it in YouTube. It's available for free, so you can definitely watch it. So मेरे साथ कम पैसे वाला ही, क्योंकि मैं गांव वाला हूँ, इरमा से आया हूँ, तो हमेशा कम पैसे वाला बात ही करता हूँ, ज्यादा पैसे वाला बात मैं नहीं करता, है ना? That is why you will be able to get it in YouTube. And I think your Godrej chairs are there, no? That old state government offices, may you see that S-shaped Godrej chairs, they are inspired by Bauhaus. Okay, so these guys have trained a generation of individuals. गांव वाले भी आज हाईटेक हो गए हैं, होना पड़ेगा, क्या कर सकते हैं, पर मैं मतलब I'm trying to be like that, that's why I'm going into telling you YouTube and all that. So, and your market is more in the villages now rather than in the urban areas, because there is so much of saturation that has happened in the urban areas, but rural people are still craving to purchase as many products as possible. They want all that prosperity and quality of life, So your market is there in the rural listing only. So I think, when you say you are interested in promoting this, it's not through one course that an MBA college offers. You can instill creative thinking, design thinking, and all that. No. It is only those principles. Like, you must be purchasing those books, Jack Rice and Al Trout. No, sorry. Al Rice and Jack Trout. Always confusing with those two names. They say brand mantras. Are those mantras were figured out by somebody and he has used it. Okay. But it will not work for you. They are not the mantras for Parvati or Lakshmi or Saraswati, you see, created by our people. That will work for any generation, because those mantras have been created by, divinity. Whereas the mantras that are given by these Jack Rice, Al Rice, Jack Trout, and your Chetan Bhagat kind of fellows, they will not work beyond their generation or probably beyond themselves. So please don't buy any of those mantras kind of books. But if you want mantras, really buy our spiritual mantras books. They will definitely work all the time. Okay. So in that sense, what we see here is that, you have to institutionalize the thinking process. So if you are the head of the organization and you are heading this new product development division, let us say, I think you have to constantly bring in new talent and instill that spirit of creating new things and, thinking outside the box. Because once you say, I'm also wrong in calling it institutionalization, because once you institutionalize it, you will say that Godrej people will think like this only. No, 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 no. You cannot say that. Okay? The moment that boy or girl walks into the Godrej R&D labs, you will have to say that this is Godrej R&D lab. You need not think like anyone who works at Godrej. Okay? There is no ideology of Godrej. You are to think like yourself and contribute towards the new product development of this organization. You are only to listen and learn from everyone, but not get impressed or what you call influenced by them. You can get inspiration from them. So thank you so much. That will definitely help me in my rural marketing class. But no, and once you start me on the rural, I will take 10 sessions for you. You will get bored. So वहाँ छोड़ दीजिए उसको, है ना? So now so you cannot institutionalize it. You can only use an institution to instill this creative thinking, but never institutionalize it. The moment you institutionalize it, what happens is people say, oh, IIM Indore वाले ऐसे ही सोचते हैं, IRMA वाले ऐसे ही बोलते हैं, no, 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 ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. You see, so even when you say, you may hate JNU for what all it stands for nowadays, but if you see it in a real sense, I think it was supposed to encourage freedom of thinking, you see. But what happened is institutionalization of that institution and institutionalization of the thinking with leftist liberal communists, you see. So JNU ka thinking yahi hoga. Tu kaun hota hai aisa bolne wala? When you say, it is the institution has been created for freedom, like Shanti Niketan. Rabindranath Tagore created Shanti Niketan for instilling that freedom of thinking among the children. Now you brought in Robindra Sangeet and then you started singing it in the same way, and then you don't even want to experiment in that Robindra Sangeet. The moment you say you will not want to experiment in Robindra Sangeet, it is dead. Dead and dusted, that's it. When you say that this is how we Tagoreans work, I think it is dead. You have to say, you have to redefine. That's what Tagore told you, to redefine things based on the new era, new age, and take the institution to the next level. Don't put it, don't make it a dogma, you see. So, and that is very, very difficult, Same thing with the Jiddu Krishnamurti institutions also. It is very, very difficult. So you will have to kind of create that sense of this thing and then go on encouraging the institution, but not the institutionalization of the people who are working there. Okay, enough of this gyan on institutionalization. Let me come back to the generation thing. So Generation Z, the digital natives, from 1995 to 2010. These are the two digital natives, earliest youth exposed to internet and social networks. So their whole life, their left palm or right palm is like a mobile phone only nowadays. Hypercognitive generation, very comfortable with cross-referencing and all that. Obviously, please understand, these Generation Z fellows have been given information from the Generation X and Y people, and also the knowledge that was accumulated by the people before Generation X, the baby boomers of sorts. So they have got the knowledge of 3 generations with them. And because of that, their ability to process a lot more information, reference it, and figure out a lot more details is very, very good. So this generation's search for truth, and they value their individual expressions and avoid labeling of things. But again, in terms of avoiding the labeling part of it, they are all accumulating together, and that is a label. The label is, we are a generation which avoids labels. That itself is also a labeling, isn't it? Avoiding label community. We are all a community which avoids labels. So the moment you say you created a community which avoids labels, it is itself is labeled as no labeling community. So you cannot get rid of some of those old things that have been set in the society. Okay, but let us but then you as a smart marketer like shoes of Starbucks, what you need to do is pamper to the ego of these Generation Z fellows and say, oh yes, you are a no label guy, right? So we are a no label kind of people. We don't advertise. So you and I can actually enter into a conversation and we can engage, and you can be our customer for a lifetime. That's how the Starbucks attracted the consumers, who are not interested in the advertising part of it. They believe profoundly in the efficacy of dialogue to solve conflicts and improve the world, which is the reason why now you see a lot of podcasts are being encouraged, and people are interested in not just some tidbits, but they're interested in a full explanation of the rationale for anyone to do anything. Okay, so in that sense, they want to see the whole story, not just the bits and pieces which were encouraged by the previous generations. So companies should be attuned to three important elements: that consumption or access rather than the possessions of it. That is what is important, which is what we are going to discuss in the Ola. That is, I need to transport myself from IIM Indore to the Indore city. So I really don't care whether I go in my own car, I go in a shared car or something. I want to reach that space and I want access to a good car. That's it. Or a good vehicle. That's it. Consumption as an expression of individual identity. That is, I am somebody who cares for the environment, which is the reason why I want to leave less carbon footprint. And that's the reason why I don't want to own a vehicle, but I'd like to share a vehicle with someone who is going to the same place. Which means I'm willing to wait till the extent I get a shared ride and not hurry in an Ola cab alone because I'm worried about the footprint part of it. In consumption, a matter of ethical concern. That is, how much should I consume? Should I consume more than what I should consume? But then there is a paradox here. I think in the name of saving the planet or in the name of ethical consumption, I think the capitalism has turned the tables on this Generation Z fellows, and it is using YouTube influencers in the sense of continuously clearing their wardrobes and purchasing new things in the name of what you call ethical consumption. That is consumption of organic cotton fabrics, consumption of organic produce, consumption of environmental friendly products by replacing the old products. Please understand, you replacing the old product is also a threat to the environment. So please use the product till it ends, like the previous generation guys, and then purchase an environmentally responsible product. So somewhere down the line, though the Generation Z people are smart enough, I think the capitalism also became over smart in terms of manipulating this generation. And so if you are interested in selling in products and services, so you have to be a little kind of hypocrite wherein you are doing this also, that also. So don't define self in only one way, define multiple ways. Be radically inclusive. So LGBTQ plus, whatever it is, please, so please go woke whenever it is necessary. But if wokeism is not working and spiritualism is working for you, so please go ahead and do that. So that is why our Salman Bhai is coming with a Tiger 3 movie in which he's leke Prabhu ka naam. I don't know, Prabhu ka naam leke ye banda kar kya raha hai. I don't know, but at least he is using Prabhu ka naam, and he was also our Bajrangi Bhai Jan. How can Bajrangi be Bhai Jan? I really don't know, but he's trying to be very all inclusive, thereby trying to please the audience because that is what they want, isn't it? So he is giving what the market wants. He's trying to, what you call show different avatars of his and thereby trying to sell himself. But sadly, he's unable to. Let's not worry about that. Have fewer confrontations and more dialogue. So, in the sense, now, they're not interested in fighting it out, but they're interested in sitting and discussing. That's where the long formats of podcasts are being very, very prominent now, wherein people are moving away from the debates, wherein nobody is getting a chance to explain themselves. So they're going to podcast and explaining their point of view for the generation to consume. So understanding this consumption, they analyze not only what they buy, but also act the way they act in consuming the products. Again, access to access is more important rather than simply the consumption and owning the products. And as access becomes the new form of new consumption, unlimited access to new goods and services creates value for these fellows. So, which is the reason why you see like things like Zostel, see things like what you call your Ola and all these aggregation platforms. So, in that sense, when you say when we are dealing with this kind of people, we need to be need to be very careful and need to change. And especially if you're an organization which is selling fast moving consumer goods or which is selling apparels, which is to be consumed by all generations of customers. So how do you present your pantaloons brand to the generation XYZ? Okay, that's very, very important. And let us also talk about this generation alpha, that is children of the generation Xers, that is my child. So here, this alpha generation kids are born in the most prosperous times of the civilization, so to say, which means they don't understand what you mean by scarcity. Like when I tell my child that, you know what, I can't purchase all these things for you, it costs. She says, why can't you order it on Amazon? Okay, Amazon costs. Now the baby doesn't understand that, you see. And she says, you have got that card, no? If you don't have cash, you can pay through that card, no? Or mom has got that mobile phone through which she pays money, no? Why don't you do that? Oh, she understands all these options because we have trained her in all those options. See? So being observant in the sense, because the children are having a lot of idle time with them, they're observing so many things. And because they're born in prosperity and because of our generation X's insecurities, we are raising them in cloisters. That is also another problem. Okay. So you are thinking 100 things, you are arranging life for them. So my daughter says, what should I do now? I'm bored. Oh, I'm not here to plan your day. I'm not your secretary. Thank you so much. So thank you, Sukhdev. So in the sense that, when you say, I am not your secretary to plan your day. So I tell her, okay, be bored. Never mind. Okay. I can't plan all your day. Be bored. So can you give me your mobile phone? Can I see the what? Can I see the TV? So I think many of you will empathize with me when I say this. That children are asking for, they get bored very soon. Nothing interests them. You can't keep on going to the same place. Okay. So, till yesterday it was Domino's, now it is Starbucks. So the only place where she wants to go is, once it was Domino's and then Subway, and now it is only Starbucks. Every time she wants to go to only Starbucks. And she's 8 years old, not even 8, she'll become 8. Okay. It's because, her mother introduced her to all these things, and we keep going to some of these places. And so while shopping, we see and bump into, and then they just pull me there. You see? So in that sense, and also she's very, very impressionistic in the sense, if she doesn't like that premises, you can't order anything, even though you are hungry and you're starving. If she doesn't like that place, you just have to exit. Otherwise, you will see the true colors of her. Okay. So in the sense, they're exposed to so much of opinions. Yes, Gautam ji, they're exposed to so much of opinions. They're also learning so many things from their school, in the sense of their interactions with all the other kids who are having that prosperity and all this. So if you don't impress me in the first instance, I will never come back to you. Okay. So simply, it is the first impression. If she likes that premises, we can again go back to that place. Certain places she simply blacklists, and there's no way I can go there. Even if I like that place and I'm loyal to that place, I can't go there. Because, it is impossible, with a nagging child to go to your own favorite place. You all understand that, isn't it? So, Generation Alpha, I think the value proposition that you're presenting, the way you are impressing them, the way you would like to retain their interest and the way you would like to convert them into loyal consumers, it is going to be a Herculean task. These fellows are already in the market and they are the ones deciding what to purchase and what not to purchase for the family, you see. So, in that sense, one has to be very careful as to how am I going to deal with this different sets of individuals. Okay, so my father is belonging to that baby boom, let us say, and I am belonging to the generation X. And if my wife belongs to the generation Y, there is nobody in generation Z in the family, but there is an alpha generation kid out there. So let's say all five of us, as a family, or six of us as a family have to go out. I think one has to be very careful as to where one can go. And also it is equally important for the hotel or the restaurant or any other place to take care of all this set of individuals, because each one of them is important for the person who is spending the money. That is me. And I can't neglect my mother, but at the same time, I can't neglect my wife and my child. You see, all three are very, very important. You see, so in that sense, it is not only becoming difficult for the consumer to experience the whole thing, but it is also tricky for that service provider or the person who is trying to sell the products, because if he is unable to capture the imagination of all these set of individuals, then what will you do? So I think somewhere down the line, we all have to somehow learn this thing, and it is easy for Indians, you see. It is easy for Indians because we can live with multiple realities. So please don't think and be bogged down by like a US or a European citizen. Europeans also can do it, but Americans cannot. Okay, that's the reason why we are able to live with a grandmother who only is familiar with the television, but or great grandmother, but we are able to addict her to WhatsApp. Whereas that does not happen in US, because there is no connections between the family members. So you never train your great grandmother to be sending Om Shanti message in the morning, bhakti messages. When it is grandmother, that it is all bhakti messages only in the WhatsApp. There is a spiritual group also for her, where she gets all these morning messages and she keeps forwarding it to everybody. How did she learn that? It is because she has interacted with the grandchild, and the grandchild is the one who has done the knowledge transfer, not the educated professor. It's the grandchild who has not even gone to the formal education system, who is trained the great grandmother or grandmother. You see, so in that sense, one needs to understand there are multiple realities existing in the family. So if your product is catering to the requirements of the multiple people in a family, like a television, a refrigerator, or something which is used by most people in the family, how are you going to present yourself as responsible, youthful, fun, and whatever other small things that come in the family? You see, so I think that is where the challenge lies. So yeah, mobile phones are the biggest bane for kids. They don't want to go outdoor. The only focus having on mobile phones indoor. Obviously, see, let's not blame the kids, Sanyogata, in one way, that also because we don't even want to allow the child to go into the public space, because we are scared that while you are working from home or sitting in this class, can you allow your child to that common place? Who is going to take care of her? Okay, there is CCTV camera, there is a security guard as well, but the problem is neither you can trust the security guard nor you can trust the CCTV camera. So it is out of the scare that you should be personally present there, which makes you to choose the less of the evil options. That is, okay, let her use the mobile phone. You see, so in the sense, and once you get addicted to it, there is no going back. Like some of the children, they would like to look at the mobile phone while they're eating the food. Like my cousin's kids, they don't eat food unless you give them the mobile phone. They're not looking at the food, they're looking at the mobile phone while their mother is feeding them. So in that sense, some of these choices are made by us because of our own constraints. But at the same time, once they become addictive, then how do you generally take care of this? So easy to do marketing for current generation, but need to be conscious, out of the box and track. Yes, yes. That is true in the sense that, we have the mediums to reach out to them. You've got more options to reach out to them. But the tricky part is, now when you have 10 different outlets to reach to that person, on which one you would like to invest more money. So the careful analysis of the medium that is most useful for that concerned generation, and spending or allocating budgets accordingly, is the job of the manager. So you're constantly looking at the market data, and thereby you're allocating budgets to these concerned media outlets. Thereby you're able to reach this thing. Yes, also it depends on the product. Because what is the nature of the product? That is what I always want you to go back to. So what is the nature of the product? What is the generation to which we are trying to sell the thing? What is the value which we are offering? So how easily and quickly we can say this, and also appear to be conscious, out of the box, creative, innovative, whatever it is. So there are more jargons attached to all of it. But let me tell you one thing, that is, you have to understand the essence and the nature of the product and the nature of the consumer. These two basic principles will remain the same. Okay? Whichever generation it is, don't get bogged down with that. Please understand your product clearly, and please understand the consumer clearly, to whom you are trying to sell the product. Once you are clear with these two things, I think rest of the elements will fall in line. You see? So that is what we have tried to. I'll come to Sanyogita in a minute. I hid TV remote during my 9-year-old's Dashera vacation, and 2 days when 400 pages books sold. She didn't know what to do. Yeah, Sanyogita. So please go ahead. And so
Yes.
how did?
So, I don't give her mobile phone. I rarely give her, because I have also experienced the same thing, that,
Yes.
kids, they need mobile while eating. When she was a kid, it was very difficult to feed her without a TV. Mobile phones we rarely give, but TV also. So this time what I tried was, I go very early to office. So I just hit the remote. She knew the code of the TV, so I didn't change the code. I just hit the remote. She didn't know what to do, because her friends had gone out of station. They used to come to play. So at home, so she used to play, but they had gone out of station. So she finished a 400-page book in 2 days. She read it all. So I mean, in our times, there was no phones and TVs so much. Doordarshan was the only channel, and it also came very late, all the different channels. So that was the reason we were doing different activities also. It's like that.
We were used to boredom. We were okay with being bored.
Yeah.
The boredom word never occurred to us, because there is nothing else to do. What, you just sit idle and do nothing. But because we have planned the life of these kids so much, now it is becoming a trouble. Now here somebody was asking, is there a marketing opportunity? Yes, there is a marketing opportunity. Now whenever I see a young woman with a child not being able to pacify the child when the flight is taking off, I really feel sad. It's because the communication with the previous generation, you lost the communication, and that's the reason why you forgot how to tell a story to a child, or how to sing a lullaby. You see, the most important thing that you need to worry about is, how do you sing a lullaby to the child? Apart from whatever standard instructions Indigo Air Hostess gives you, they are not of any use unless you sing a lullaby. So are you training the young men and women? I don't want to say women only. I want to say men and women. Now, when you can do the bathroom singing of your favorite singer's song, you can also sing for your child. Why can't you do that? Now, are you training them? So this is an opportunity for a YouTube influencer. Then there is another thing also, in the sense of training the parents about parenting. This is one more opportunity that you need to look out for, as to, it's not that parents are, reckless, and that's the reason why they're throwing a mobile at a child and they're letting her go. No, it's because they are helpless. They have to feed the family, they have so many commitments, and they're pressurized for earning and spending all that money on the family. So what do you expect out of us? Apart from giving away the mobile phone to the child, giving away the control of the house to the child. So you have to, you can also look at an education opportunity for the parents, just like launching an online classes, these things wherein as to how do you understand these problems very clearly? How do you understand your child and her behavioral patterns? And how do you then train yourself as well as the child in terms of enjoying life? Okay, so I make it a point to read one storybook, at least one story every day for my child. This I have made a habit. So unless I tell her a story, she won't sleep. So, you may say that, th- these are all the things that were there in our ancient, whatever, my grandmother used to tell us stories. We just lost that connection. So somewhere down the line, there is this business opportunity wherein women are also interested in spending money to know all these things, so you can create a small education business out of this, wherein you are trying to figure out tips and you are trying to figure out ways and means as to how do you connect with your own child. Now, unless you connect with your own child, or in this process of connecting with your own child, there is also this possibility of understanding the kids and the generation and then sell the products accordingly. That is also another. So you can think of a consultancy option. Once your relation or your business in this particular domain is established, you're interacting with parents, you're listening to a lot of complaints from the parents, and you're sorting out, you're giving them some education modules to understand their child. Thereby, you're accumulating a lot of knowledge about the child and the next generation fellows, you see. And thereby, what happens is you also figure out how these people are thinking, how these people are behaving, how they are expressing themselves. That gives a consulting opportunity wherein you gather all the data from, kind of almost pro bono, very low priced business for attracting parents to learn the parenting skills, but you're utilizing all the information that is shared by them in terms of fueling the economy by telling the marketers as to how do you sell the products and services to these kids and their parents. You can also use this opportunity in terms of selling more and more kids storybooks, more and more lullabies on iPhones, all those possibilities. So everywhere you can look for business opportunities once you have this captive audience, that is parents and their children. Okay, so in that sense, Arpita, you were saying something, then we'll go into the case.
No, that just supporting your comment as same thing, sir. Like I feel product value, even services are also getting less, maybe because of the multiple options and availability, especially among the kids. Like in our time, if we say getting anything very beautiful, maybe a that special sparkle pen or something, it was a luxury for us. But nowadays, every kid has one or two kid in a family, and before they utter, they get those things. So
Yeah.
also making the, it is good for the business wise. If I say in a business wise, it is great because it will increase the business, the marketing is good. But yes, as a parent, if I say, it's a very big challenge, because Kinder Joy, if I say nothing,
Yeah.
but the kid, if they
I
see.
hate Kinder Joy like anything, but my nephew loves it. There's no way of escaping from Kinder Joy when he was a small boy and you go along with him.
Exactly, and there is a, like, gender wise, they have made it one for the boy, one for the
One
girl.
for the girl, huh? Stereotyping that pink is for girls and blue is for boys. अरे यार इतना भी बच्चों को stereotype मत करो, especially when your gender fluidity is there. That is one more thing. As if we don't understand fluidity. Our Lord Shiva himself is gender fluid in one sense that he is Ardhanarishwara. That's where he is already absorbed the feminine part and he is the masculine. So why are you teaching us the gender knowledge? And I don't know whether I told this in this class or somewhere else. This gender thing and all is coming from pedophiles. All this. Some of these feminists were grooming young girls to get into sex, and some of these what you call gender stalwarts were all pedophiles from France. So if we have to learn from such fellows, what sort of twisted thinking we will have when we are talking about the gender, whereas your own what you call yakshas, gandharvas, kinnaras, kimpurushas, and all these ardhanarishwaras and all that concept, that is all there. Your gay concept is also there, wherein your Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu will fall in love with each other and they conceive who is called Lord Ayyappa. The Sabarimala temple on which all these feminists attack, that they want menstrual women also enter into a temple where the person is a devout brahmachari, where you don't want a woman who is menstruating in the premises because he is a devout brahmachari. So without understanding anything, अरे यार लड़कियों को लेके आना, हर एक जगह पे लड़की को जाने का जरूरत नहीं है भाई, क्यों लेके जाना चाहता है, कुछ दिमाग है? क्योंकि यूएस में जा रहा है, यूएस में भी बहुत सारे क्लब्स है जहां पे विमेन का अलाउड नहीं है. क्यों? Women is less compared to man. Okay, they want special places for men where they can have their own enjoyments. But in India, you want to open up Sabarimala. Why? ये gender sensitive नहीं है, ये woman के प्रति ये है वो है करके महिला लोग खड़ा हो जाता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने. ठीक है भाई, बुढ़ा हो जाओ फिर बाद में चले जाना, कौन क्या फर्क पड़ता है? And how many of these women are interested in going to the Sabarimala? That also I want to ask. One Bengali girl is saying, I don't mind. I would like to, say, protest for this. And how many Bengalis are going to Sabarimala? You please tell me. Madam, you are from Jadavpur University. That is why you are shouting slogans. But you don't know what is Sabarimala and why should you go there? But because it is fashionable to say, shout slogans against Sabarimala, this madam is shouting. कोई तो लिंक्डइन में मेरे को जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी से रिक्वेस्ट भेज दिया, मैं डर गया, इग्नोर मार दिया मैं उसको. पता नहीं है, उसके बाद पता चला ये लोग कोई एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट्स है. वो बोला आईआईएम से प्रोफेसर के साथ इनका कोई लिंक है. मैंने बोला नहीं चाहिए भाई, रिमूव करो, ऐसा लोग मेरे को नहीं चाहिए, मेरा स्टूडेंट्स मेरे लिए काफी है. You see? So, we've gone completely bonkers, let's come back to the Zostals. Now that you understand these fellows, and in India, especially after the pandemic, I've also shared you some facts. Generally the Zostal concept is that affordable, sasta and tikau, that's the greatest idea that they have conceived, which is sasta tikau in the general sense of an India. Okay. So what they're trying to say, it is affordable, should be accessible to everyone. There the mandiris, that also they don't know. That is true, Sukhdev ji. That is true. But क्या है कि सब लोग स्लोगन शाउट कर रहा है तो मेरे को भी स्लोगन शाउट कर, क्योंकि if I don't shout slogans, no, I will not get a girlfriend. That is also a big problem with this generation. No, इनका तो शादी वैसा होना नहीं है आपके और मेरे जैसा. तो ये लोग क्या करेगा? अभी कोई तो गर्लफ्रेंड मांगता है, शादी हो सकता है उस गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ, तो क्या करेंगे? वो लड़की चिल्ला रही है सबरीमाला डाउन डाउन, सबरीमाला डाउन डाउन, या लड़का भी खड़ा हो गया तो वो गर्लफ्रेंड बन जाएगी बोल के. पर वो लड़की बहुत स्मार्ट है, वो बोलेगी ठीक है मेरे पीछे आ गया पर अभी निकल ले यहाँ से, because I am not interested in you, I am interested in marrying a CEO, not a what you call some sadak chap jhola wala like you. I will marry a CEO. तो वो तब तक तो सेकुलरिज्म लिबरल सब खत्म हो जाएगा, लड़की सीईओ का वाइफ बन जाएगी. तो you see. So in that sense, these are all jokes, and please don't take it seriously, and what you call these things. But that is how the generation is. They're just doing it because somebody else is doing it, and Facebook में ये सब fashionable है. Now, if you personally interview those girls or boys, they will say, sorry sir, हमको पता नहीं था, किसी ने बोला था, हमने लिख दिया है. And I don't even know. Like Sukhdev ji said, I don't even know where that is. So most people ask me, are you from Kerala? I say, I'm from Visakhapatnam. Oh, is it there in Hyderabad? Arey yaar, Hyderabad is not a state, and Visakhapatnam is a district in Andhra Pradesh, and we are not part of Kerala. All South India is not Kerala. Okay, so if the general understanding of Indians is South India is Kerala, and Chennai is one state, and Hyderabad mein Visakhapatnam hai, so please forget that they are serious about your Sabarimala or your Sheni Shingadapur. Okay, they don't know where it is, but they are still shouting slogans because आजकल fashionable है, चलता है, सब कर रहे हैं, हम भी कर रहे हैं. So let us not even malign them, those poor souls who are, protesting because they are doing it, this thing, so that they can have face-to-face meetings. Yeah, like Sukhdev said, that is also true. So when you say this Zostel concept was conceived, I think it is a problem all of us have faced. See, all of us have, as youngsters, as struggling youngsters, faced the problem as to how much can we ask our parents. Now, they have already supported us so much, but we are interested in attending an interview of an institute of our choice. So we have already, exhausted all our resources to get a ticket, to get the forms filled up, write the exam, and getting selected. Now, further, you are pressurizing, your parents as to, I need money to stay someplace. Okay, and the railway reservation place does not allow you to stay for a longer time. You see, you may want to use it for a small purpose or whatever. So, if that option is not available to you, what will you do? Okay, so I think somewhere down the line, this problem or this need has been passed down the generations. Okay, so you may have become prosperous, so you're able to afford that for your child, but still there are so many Indians who are facing this problem on a daily basis. So let's not worry about an individual or a generation, but let's worry about the consumers as a whole, as travelers. So consumers as travelers are facing this pain point that they would love to have a good accommodation, which is safe, because girls are also nowadays attending interviews in more and more places. So their parents are worried about their safety. People are also worried about the cleanliness. Thanks to the COVID, it has actually set the paranoia, ahead of us. So these two things are very, very important. So, and at the same time, the money that we can spare for the child to go for the interview is also limited budget. So, this need that was existing for a very, very, very long time, which couldn't be fulfilled by your youth hostels. Mind you, there were youth hostels concept, but they were present only in some very shady corner of the city where girls cannot go. And, it was not even known to many people. You see, so knowledge was not there, it is not safe for girls. So in that sense, the pain point was there across the generations, but somebody tried to say, okay, why only a star hotel or a lodge or an oyo room, why can't be like this? Gautamji, please go ahead.
So, Professor, I was wondering, like, ultimately, what problem Jostel was trying to solve? Like, of course, there are different segment of consumers are there. So, I understand what's that TG and all. We have gone through your case study and the case study shared. So, typically, that problem point, how big is that, and to what extent it got solved? Like, if we can conclude towards that a little bit.
So I think, let us say at least 60% of Indians face this problem. I'm assuming that, at least 30% of the Indians are above middle class and they're able to do well. And so they'll be able to afford a good, nice lodge or a 1-star or 2-star kind of a hotel. But for a larger section of the society, the 60% of the society, which is, having serious difficulties, this is an issue. And so I think some place which is clean, some place which is safe, and we don't mind sharing the space, because sharing the space has always been a part and parcel of Indian culture. So sharing space is never a problem. So I think the pain point that these people were addressing was largely prevalent in the Indian society, even after liberalization. So even with your OYO rooms, I think it is again a room, which means it is giving you privacy and it is giving you a lot of comfort and all. But there is still a lot of younger generation which will not be able to pay that kind of money. So they were saying, like, I can give you 500 rupees, but I would like a decent accommodation. Okay. So if say somebody like my girl tells me that in Bangalore there is this hostel and it is mixed sort of, it is only for women, and I have read the reviews. Per day it is 500 rupees, and I should be able to reach the interview venue very quickly because this hostel is quite close to the hotel where the interview is going on. You see, so I can buy her the railway ticket to Bangalore, whatever it is, and then that budget of 500 for those 2 days where she has to attend the interview is in my budget constraints. So for many youngsters who are coming from urban areas or rural areas and are trying to look for an easy accommodation, I think that is the biggest need that these people have found out. And to quite frankly, it's not a great innovative idea that they talked about. So that's where I don't see that it is a great innovative idea that they brought to the fore, but I think it is a very old idea whose time has come, because we all Indians have been used to this dharma sapram, no? Satram is what we used to call a place where it is patronized by the landlord or zamindar of that place, and you will be given a small space for you and your family. This is especially for the spiritual purposes, and with a little bit of money you can enjoy whatever budgeted food that they'll be serving. That is there, and that's the reason why using the common space and that this one in terms of socializing, in terms of network making and all. Yeah, Jain Dharmashala or Marwadis, they have dharmashalas, and different caste people have dharmashalas in your Varanasi and all, and in some other spiritual places, you see. So this dharmashala concept is there. So all that you can say, Gautamji, is that these boys coming from different places have understood the culture much better, and they figured out that a refined version of your dharmashala needs to be given, because see, there are those baggages that come with this dharmashala concept, no? So first of all, we are anglicized. Second of all, the dharmashala is seen with that casteist light thanks to our leftist liberals, and also one is looking for safety and cleanliness, because most of these old cities, old buildings and all, they don't really appear very clean even though they're regularly maintained. So I think what these people have done, the entrepreneurs, they have taken inspiration from the society and the cultural sphere that we belong to, and they were trying to address the persistent pain point among Indian consumers. That is how I would like to see this hostel. It is not an innovative idea like your Apple iPhone, no. And altogether different mode of communication for consumers is what your Apple stands for. That's completely at a different league altogether. Whereas this hostel is what you call an anglicized version of your dharmasala, wherein it is serving the same purpose of affordability, accessibility, safety, cleanliness, and also sociability. You see, so in that way, I think for whichever generation it is, I think this one was trying to Astha, what is that point that you put in here? Then we will take a little break.
So I was trying to put a point here that travel aspiration was also limited due to budget constraints, leisure travel. So hostel coming in the picture is able to make budget accommodation accessible, and this was leisure travel aspiration of youth got a kick with this,
Yes.
and that way that became accessible. So that is also one point. Which because mostly what we have is our budget allocations to the travel which is necessary, for example interviews or education, but what about leisure travel? That's something that we always ignore due to budget
Yes.
constraints. So
Yes.
they brought this new thing for the generation.
Yes, yes. So, Sanyogita, we'll listen to you 1 minute, but I want to just to confirm this. You know, I don't know about any other state people, but my seniors who were Bengalis, they told me that Bengalis have a small savings for the travel purpose.
Right.
They don't want to spend unnecessarily on gold or anything. They purchase only what is required. That's enough, but they save a little bit of money to see the world. World in the sense is to see the spaces that are accessible and affordable to them, like coming down to south, not for the purpose of visiting only the temples of the south, but also to enjoy the scenic spaces and enjoy the culture and enjoy the general ambience of every place that is there, which is the reason why I think earlier when more people started going out, I think the first set of individuals you bump in are Bengalis. Then with more prosperity, you bumped into Gujaratis everywhere. Then South Indians, thanks to their jobs and all, you started bumping into them. And then now you see, you will bump into a Maharashtrian definitely. Punjabis, I don't want to talk about because they are omnipresent. Okay, they're everywhere. So you will bump into a Punjabi anywhere you go. On the moon also they'll be there. But I think the Chandrayaan fellows, I don't know why they didn't take a picture of Punjabi out there, but they must be somewhere hiding. You know, so when you say that these people are there, but now you see Maharashtrians, because the economy in Maharashtra has taken a boom, and you find that now Maharashtrians are also aspiring just like everybody else. They say, okay, we have worked so hard, so why can't we spend the money on our own travel and leisure? You see? So we find that more and more of these people are to be seen in every foreign destination. Not only that, they are also to be seen in all the tourist spots of India, not the spiritual destinations. In spiritual destinations, all of us are there. But in tourist destinations also you see. So every state which is, slowly learning, after their prosperity cycle, I think you will see in this one. Now, again, as Arpita pointed out, I think it's the budget part of it. So what if we don't allocate so much money for the travel part of it? And, when you say that we Indians are very, very clever in the sense that we like to spend as much time outside in the tourist destination rather than in the hostel or the hotel or the lodge. So why should we spend so much money on a hotel room where we only come and sleep? You see, that is also the level of thinking that these people have brought in. That is, if I can save the money of mine on the on the accommodation part of it, that is, we 3-4 family members, all of us are adults, so there is no problem. So 4 of us can go to a hostel sort of a place, share a common space, just like we are sharing our own room in our own house or rooms in our house, and enjoy the space for whatever little 1 or 2 hours we are there, and then move out and see the city or see the tourist destination. You see,
The
so I
saved
think
money, the money that we save, we can increase, our travel
you can go
time,
to another
or
place, right?
yeah, exactly.
You can go to another place. So you are ticking so many boxes. Like earlier, like some of our X generation Xers, we are only interested in going abroad. Okay, have you been to abroad? No. What have you done? Sir, I've seen Bangalore, I've seen all South India. ठीक है, इंडिया तो देखने को मरते दम तक देख सकते हैं. Foreign गया कि नहीं? But I think that foreign gaya ki nahi kind of concept has vanished with this Generation Z fellows and Generation Ys and Alpha guys. They're accompanying you because you are buying the tickets and you are taking them, but they are more interested in their independence and going on their bikes to these destinations, going with their friends to these destinations, and improving their social life, because that's becoming less and less for them. You see, please understand that also. We say that the mobile phone has entrenched into our life, but at the same time, mobile has also taken away the social life from these generations. So they're looking for a space to make new friends, and this kind of hostels help them to go and bond with their friends on their Royal Enfield bike or Harley Davidson bike or whatever it is, but spend all that money on the travel and enjoying the spaces rather than on the accommodation in which they're only staying for 1 hour. Thereby, they can plan for more programs to de-stress themselves and improve their communication. You see, so even homestays and all that is a good option. But again, there is some bit of problem with this homestays, Arpita. In the tourism literature, there is so much of sexual harassment and child abuse that happens in these homestays. So I am not very big fan of homestays and encouraging people to do these homestays. But yes, that is also one of the upcoming options which the UNDP has floated long back between 2000 and 2010 and all. But then when the cases of sexual harassment and sexual assaults have increased, UNDP also backed down from this support of these projects. So Kerala during Durga Puja, during Diwali holidays, Varanasi, Puri and this mother, So yeah, in the sense, you can save a lot of money in this. And also because you're interested in moving around, and see people and enjoy those spaces. I think saving money wherever possible, I think comes to the forefront. And what do you mean by group? Big group, sorry. Okay. Big groups and all, it is fine. But I'm not worried about the person visiting. We're worried about the host and their children. That's what I was talking about. So the host, who's constantly exposed to these different men, women who are coming into their houses, and the children think that they have to be polite and nice and all. That's where the sexual assaults were happening. And that's why I think UNDP backed out from the homestays. They don't talk about it now, though once they were very, very this thing. Yes, Zostel had target audience of Z in mind, but let's not simply focus on the Z alone, but let's broaden this Astha in the sense of anyone who is interested in spending their money diligently, anyone who is budget constrained, because of their financial these things, and he wants to attend interview or for professional reasons, or any family like that of Sukhdev ji, where they're interested in more of enjoying the spaces outside and exploring more spaces rather than simply spending all the money on a 5-star hotel. You see, so in that sense, anyone who falls in line with this, like here I want to use that example of what is that? Jar ke aage jeet hai. What is that? Something, no? Your
Jar ke aage jeet.
7-Up.
That soft drink.
7-Up.
7-Up. 7-Up is the
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, do the dew, no? Now, wherein you are jumping off the cliff and all. No, 7-Up Tanya is that cool guy resting
Yeah,
in the...
Fido.
So, but here, Mountain Dew is where it is not your age that matters in terms of adventure, but your adventurous nature that matters. So age is just a chronology or a number for adventure. Whereas, so let us consider this target audience, though this case is trying to say that only Gen Z is interested, but let's consider
people
that,
who have a Gen Z in mind.
Yes, that sort of mentality in mind.
Yes.
So if your parents are addicted to WhatsApp, they are like behaving.
So it got stuck. The video got stuck.
Yeah.
It's gone only. It's not there. It's not visible.
Professor,
It's there, professors.
your video got stuck, Professor. Let's write in the chat.
Guys,
Sorry, got stuck. I think the internet also is telling me to.
So you got stuck again. Yeah, now okay.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
So we will meet at 12:15. and continue this discussion and then move on to talk about Ola. The segmentation, targeting and all, we have anyway started off on that. We'll discuss that in the fashion channel case, but we'll finish Zostel and Ola case when we come back. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, 12:15 we will meet.
Sure.
So, this Zostel is a new avatar. You might say old wine in a new bottle. That's what it is. Okay. Now that we understand that this pain point has been present across generations and it has been there, it will continue to be there. You know, and case study Nirdosh definition need to be done to arrive at value proposition, while here market target audience is defined as value proposition. But how the marketing communication hold up for them in the case? What is this thing, Astha? What have you learned in that Nirdosh case?
Professor, in Nirdosh case, we learned that because the product and market was not defined properly for them, so that was a herbal cigarettes that they were making.
Yes.
And because they did not define product and market properly, which is why the marketing communication did not hold well for them. The target audience was not defined properly. Whereas in this case, if we look at, the target audience is Gen Z. I'm sorry about the generic Z. It's Gen Z. And the value proposition that the Zostel is holding up is affordable traveling option, which is true for anyone, X, Y, Z, any generation. Then this is a conflict, right? Because from the target audience, which is defined Gen Z, while the value proposition holding up for all the generations, then how are they able to hold the marketing communication, which was not the case in Nirdosh? They were not able to do it, which was the reason that business did not work out. So I'm just trying to understand.
No, the product is actually very bad. That Nirdosh case, I don't know why everybody uses it even today. It is like a dinosaur case which needs to be scrapped. Written by those professors from IIM Ahmedabad. I really detest that case, which is the reason why I don't teach it. Never mind anyone teaching, I don't really oppose also. But what the problem is, it is an oxymoron. A herbal cigarette. First of all, cigarette symbolizes addiction. Cigarette talks about, you getting high because of the nicotine content. If you want to get high, consume cigarette only, no? Why do you want to consume herbal cigarette? So, in the sense, even if you define the audience, they try to, I don't know if they bring in gender angle or not, but generally you might say, oh, it is very feminine and only for women or men who are very health conscious. You can define all that. But then the nature of the product, if you ask the basic question, what is the nature of the product? The nature of the product, that is cigarette, is to help you get high. Not high in the cocaine sense, but still get high. So if that itself is challenged, there is a serious problem with your product conceptualization itself. When you say there is a serious problem with the product conceptualization itself, there comes the product of, hey, please don't say it outside. It is still being used in many places. My best of my friends use this case. Okay, so don't call it a dinosaur case just because I did it in front of you. I just do it just to amuse myself or amuse you. So in that sense, I think the product concept itself is wrong. It's an oxymoron. No, so when you say, because of that, the first step itself is wrong. So there is no way you can define a proper segment for it, then you can define the business plan for it, then you can communicate for it and all that stuff. See, you remember our arguments in Patanjali. The Patanjali's core itself was very strong. The way he conceptualized the business itself was very strong. Now, because of that, he left immense possibilities for the organization to expand. And he is able to join the $1 billion club. Now, the challenge we said is that now that you've entered the $1 billion club, okay? You've just entered the $1 billion club because you are a 3.4 billion kind of an organization, but you are nowhere close to Unilever. So let's say if we peg Unilever somewhere at $30 billion or something, you're still to grow 10 times to reach that Unilever kind of a benchmark. And now your conceptualization has to change. Everything has to change in the organization. That's what we said. So for an organization like Nirdosh, for a product like Nirdosh, everything will go wrong because the product conceptualization itself is wrong. Whereas the one good thing about this Zostel is the product conceptualization is okay, fine, because it is coming out of the socio-cultural space in which we exist. But to be clear, also maybe because the kind of people who conceptualize this are coming from the generation Z, that's why they felt that probably it is the generation Z which will first come in. If you remember that innovation curve, diffusion of innovation. First of all, there is those innovators, then comes the early adopters, then comes the early majority, then comes the late majority, then comes the laggards. You see, there is that 5 or 6 parameters, different types of customers. Right. So in the same way, your Zostel, what it is saying is, I am generation Z, and I am interested in attracting these fellows. So let them come. So if my cousin goes in and says, it is a very nice place, Bhavani, why don't you go and try out? I say, I have a family. How do I go? They say, no, it is not a problem. If you are not going with a very small child, or if you meet these conditions, you can definitely go and stay there. And, they'll meet your idiosyncrasies, specifically with respect to cleanliness and other things. So you don't need to worry. Okay. So I, not belonging to the generation Z, still will be interested in that. So I'm using generation Z as a platform for leapfrogging or attracting all other consumers. But at least I'm starting with somebody, so I have some clarity as to whom I want. But the way I would like to see it is, considering India's socio-economic scenario and the budget constraints and a little bit of saving that is inbuilt in us, Zostel has a potential to even attract people who are aged higher than generation Z in the chronology. Okay, so that is the potential that there is. But can you attract them? Also, can you, now that you have made a good point, now let me ask you this question. Now, when these different generations are coming into picture, Asta, please, you raise your hand and talk. I can't read from so much of
Sure,
this
Professor. So, Professor, I was trying to say that
just a minute.
Sure.
So, like when you say so many generations are coming together, or you are aspiring at least, because, like, say, if you were thinking that is Mountain Dew, okay, age is only a chronology, is what you are saying. So, if generation Z is trying to escape their parents and they have come to this nice hostel where they thought that only youth will be there, they're also seeing somebody else's parents. Arey yaar, yahan pe bhi ye log aa gaye. So how do you then, there is that intergenerational clash, no? So how would you like to address that? If you broaden the scope. Gautamji or Astha, anybody?
I think Asta was wanted to say. I'll come after that.
Astha, say, how would you like to address this generational clash?
Okay, so Professor, about this, I think we need to do some thinking about it. But what I wanted to say was that in the strategy, from the strategy perspective, that so maybe I was reading it wrong when I was saying that target audience is defined as Gen Z. Instead, target audience is defined as budget travelers. However, they're using a marketing strategy to use Gen Z as a hook so that they can attract the initial traction for them, which was the early adopters in the diffusion curve. So for that, this was their strategy. However, the target audience is budget traveler, which could include XYZ. And so this is, I think, is my inference. However, coming back to the question that you were asking me about how would they address this is something I have no idea. So, we can discuss about it. Maybe Gautam can throw some light on it and I might be able to understand it better.
Okay. Gautamji.
Okay, so what I was saying, typically, it's the person who have a mentality of Gen Z in the mind. The specialized target audience, the segment will be that. Again, this segment, we all have been talking with the budget thing. See, we need to remember, at the travel space, there are a lot of budget availabilities are there. There are OYOs in medium range. There are other shady hotels, other things and all. It's not only the budget thing. Of course, budget is one of the hook. At a budget price, you get certain special leisures, what you would have been experienced only in the 4-star or 5 stars. Think in this way, a gig night, or person playing a guitarist, or maybe a stand-up comedian, or a wine tasting, or there can be multiple things. There are a lot of I know hostels, they arrange speed dating, this kind of different activities. Like what a person, it's need not to be the age of Gen Z, it's a mentality of the Gen Z. If you fit into that target audience, that segment, that is what been targeted for hostel. Because if what you said rightly, Professor, since your friend said, okay, though I have a family, I look for a privacy, I look a typical room, I look my foods need to be served at room certain times I might go for the buffet in the dining. But Jostel have a kind of a common space, a mixing, community sharing, exchanging and inter exchanging of communications. This particular vibe, this particular segment, that what they are targeting and that they are encashing. If this you wanted to experience, you probably would have to try CN Travelers, Contiki, like international brands, which is very expensive compared to Jostel. What we are looking for, the repeat consumers, again, I'll go, the what's precisely, not like one time like you, maybe just because your friend said and you go experience once. The repeat consumers they are looking for, typically the Indians, the people who have Gen Z, they've seen the the international travelers, they come with a backpacking and they experience, and since now it's a more of a global, because of the digital world, and you are open to explore a lot of options and all. The new Gen Z, what you said, they have experience, exposed to that, they want to experience that. It's not a typical going to a tourist place, walking on the mall road having ice cream. They want to experience a different what Zostel want to encash. Maybe some of you will agree, I come from a 5 years travel background. In my previous assignment, I've been one of the top startups in that space. So it's all from, and Zostel being one of our inventory partners also. That's what
okay. So yeah, that actually gives us a bit of background as to what was the internal thinking as well. Are we thinking alike? I think somewhere down the line we get that little confirmation when you tell us that is, you're mentally prepared to be with youngsters. Are you not? Please don't come to Zostel. Okay, right? Go to OYO. But if you're mentally prepared to come and have a nice time, and you're comfortable with youngsters all around, I think some people would love to have youngsters all around. Right. Why only the same 45-year-old fellows who are cribbing about their husbands or cribbing about their wives and children? Somebody who is carefree and who says, oh, let's go and have a beer and chill, and so that sort of a bit of kind of carefree sort of life, or at least certain moments you would like to have. I think that is what you are giving. And probably also those people who are a bit shy and want to experience this so that they can become regulars. That is, okay, I have never been introduced to stand-up comedy. I've never attended a musical night, except for some ghazal singing by Jagjit Singh and Mohammed Rafi's song orchestra and all that. But this new trend of, somebody privately singing for very few audience, doing some comedy or playing some games and having some interactions and all that, I think this is something which the previous generations never had. And what we observe in Indian context is that there are some individuals from the previous generation who are open to this kind of things and they're interested in adopting them. Like, all parents scream at you when you give them the first smartphone. My mother did so, my father did so. And then, when we changed the mobile phone because father was using it extensively, and we delayed my mother's changing of mobile phone for a while, she was furious. Okay? So it's not about your mobile not functioning, but because you changed dad's mobile, my mobile should also change. That's it. And she is 65, 66-year-old woman, you see. We said, ये क्या है बच्चों का जैसा आप इतना ये कर रहे हैं नहीं तुम अपने पापा के लिए कर रहे हो मेरे लिए भी करो. So it started with comparing wishes on Mother's Day and Father's Day and who's getting what gift on Mother's Day and Father's Day. Okay, so it is that they have transcended that age barrier and they are also acting like teenagers. And somebody said that grandparents are also hooked on to mobile. I think my mother listens to all the spiritual stuff on the mobile phone, and my dad listens to news and watches those dubbed Telugu movies in Hindi, all involving police. Okay, so when you say that this is how that though there are generation gaps, they never had any phone in their house, but they're addicted to a mobile phone, which means that Zoster is trying to find that common point. So the characteristic which they are looking for, as Gautamji pointed out, is that you should be comfortable and open to stay with youngsters. If yes, please come. Or else, please go to Oyo, because you will have your personal space. Yeah. In that sense, I think somewhere down the line, we are not specifically saying only this age group should come, but the people who believe that they are in this age group, they are aspirationally in that group, is what is the target segment for Zoster. So there is that little bit of clarity, young at heart. Yeah, that is what it is. Adventurous at heart, you always drink Mountain Dew. Young at heart, you would, for your travel purposes, you would like to choose Zostel. Maybe like Sukhdev ji, when you go with your mother and your whole family, you would like to stay in a 3 or 4-star hotel. Never mind, because you're worried about safety and you're worried about 100 things. You're worried about logistics and all. But let's say when you and your wife are going, you can always go to Zostel and enjoy the life which you never had when you were in college, because those facilities were not there at that time. You see, so in that sense, you can definitely consider that this is a possibility. Gautamji and then Sukhdev.
No, very true. You just rightly said.
So Sukhdev, you raised your hand. Some points from you. Yeah, he is the youngest chap in the whole wide world. To borrow the word that my daughter uses. You're the worst father in the whole wide world. If I don't listen to her. If I listen to her, I'm the best father in the whole wide world. That's it.
So, Professor, would it be safe to write this definitions like I've written? Like target market is
value proposition, experience Gen Z living with them, like them. Better not, what you call solidify things in words, Astha.
Sure.
Better say young at heart.
Okay.
That's kind of indicating and attracting people, but you don't want to stick to a generation. You don't want to freeze yourself in a time zone.
Okay.
So young at heart can be anybody. And the images that you show are all youngsters belonging to that age, you see. So what you're communicating is the younger person between 18 to 24. That is the image that you are putting up. Anyway, they know that. And what you are saying is young at heart. So there are two messages that are getting communicated. One who is chronologically young, the other one who is mentally, what you call want to be you experiencing that youth in your premises. So both objectives are, what you call obtained here. Whereas if you solidify and say Generation Z, it's like a private club wherein only people who are born after 2000 or 1999 are allowed. You see? You are eliminating me from that crowd. So follow the Lux principle. Filmi Sitaron ka Saundarya Saban. So who is that Filmi Sitara? It is not Wahida Rahman of current age, who because she has received Dada Saheb Phalke, but Wahida Rahman at her age when she was Chaudhary ka Chand. But now whoever is the current girl, we will use her. So it will be like a nice link from Wahida Rahman to the latest girl in the Tinsel town. But all of them are Bollywood damsels and they all stand for eternal beauty. You see? So there is no what you call hindrance in the mind of a young woman or a person who is using that soap that they are getting older by using Lux. No, when you use Lux, you are always glowing like a best Bollywood or best heroine in the Bollywood. You see, so that is it. The audience who believes, yeah, they are 18, 18 till I die.
So,
yeah.
sir, I think, Professor, I think I understood the target audience definition for this, and the value proposition is still going to be the same. It's affordable and clean place, right? That is going to be the value
All those
proposition.
things that you stand for, that is, it is affordable, it is safe, it is clean, and we will also give you all those extra perks as a common space. Okay. So all those things will be like, you should be willing to accept those common things, and you should be willing to also remain young. So similar fun entertainment clubs available for holiday destinations. Yes, I agree with you, Alokji. And I want you to talk about it, but Sukhdevji, please let him speak something. Once he puts forward his point, then we'll get to this holiday destinations, Alokji. Yeah, Sukhdevji, please go ahead.
Well, what I wanted to say is that what you just now pointed out. This is it is a young at heart and trying new things out kind of a concept, and it does not. It is not like only Gen Z that is limited to. It is inclusive to other ages also, provided you have that temperament of trying it out. In fact, in category A, I had written to you in a category A city in Mumbai Central, very upscale area. Getting a proper hotel to stay in was it costs you around 6,000 rupees plus. There are allocation means we are getting 8,000 rupees for a night from the company. So, but I chose to stay in that place. I thought because my train was very early morning, and I was getting into that place after say 9 or 10. So it actually means people did criticize me for trying it out. They said, "Why are you doing this?" and all those things. A lot of trolling had happened, but I tried it out. But the thing is that that is what I meant to say, that it is inclusive. Well, you have that mentality to try it out. And I tried it out because it was for some more reasons. But means it's a kind of a concept that can include others also.
True.
And what I found, the experience was really something which I never knew. It's a kind of a thing that people should try out.
Yes.
That and you get all the amenities also. Means and the people out there, they have said that this kind of concept is there in Japan. Means in Tokyo, there's living spaces are very short. They are very small. Means kind of dormitory kind of attached apartments, but there are stories. Means here it is a single thing. There are kind of stories where you are put in that locker kind of arrangement, and that is your space. And all the amenities are there.
In Tokyo, you have those, what you call those small holes sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I am claustrophobic. So even to watch that documentary, it really kind of scared me. But
So, no,
how
so
somebody
what
can
it is,
sleep in that?
yeah, yeah, and once you are there, now they have a TV also inbuilt in there.
Huh. So it's like you getting MRI done, So that also I did recently, and it was the scariest thing for me to get into that MRI thing and coming out of it because of that smallest space. The Japanese that common space hostel sort of a thing that they offer is slightly bigger than the kind of that
Yeah.
machine, whatever perimeter that the machine has is the space that they allow you. And rest of the things are really nice because you get all the best possible things, well laundered things, and
And bathrooms
your
are very
personal
neat, sir.
belongings, everything is taken care of.
Yeah, bathrooms are very neat, and they give, just before you take a bath, na, they give a separate towel. There, the person sitting there.
Yes,
So,
yes. So yeah, in the US also you have this kind of hostels. It's largely because bread and breakfast or some of these things. It's all to cater to the budget conscious or travel spree, free spirited individuals and stuff like that. That is where. Now here I'd like you to take to the next this thing. Now, okay, we are clear as to what is our value proposition, what sort of people do we want, and all that. Now, how do you attract more franchisees for this purpose? Because you are not interested in investing everything yourself because it will cost you a lot. Going by the Ola model, how are we going to encourage people to invest in us? Especially when we say you have to do certain modifications and make some investment with us, and these are the standard operating procedures. So how do you for a McDonald's, it is different. It is an established brand. It lost money for 10 years to gain money next 10 years. So how can Zostel do this? How can Zostel do this? How can we encourage somebody to invest somewhere between few lakhs of rupees to 1 crore of rupee? That's what they said, no? So how can we get those fellows?
so many of the hoteliers and kind of small places which had a very tough time during the uh, COVID era, and they can modify themselves into hostels, and they can come up with a better option, better this one for the masses. And that concept, at least in tier two cities, also it can work out because lot of sales people, especially medical representatives, move around. What kind of scenario I had faced and I had explored in Mumbai Central City can be there in a city like Nanded also. Can be there, and if you have that kind of option, I think that will do well. Means our even our down the line people also get around 1,500 rupees per day for their BA and TA. So 1,500 rupees if you are having a kind of this kind of arrangement, at least my team, so all people will go to stay here only. Means that's what it is. Yeah.
So somebody said that Sanyogita, you said that it is better not to stay in 4-star hotels because it is not good for the image and all that. There are always stories floating around that the CEO does not go in business class; he goes only in the economy class. He's so humble and all that. It's purely they're saving money. It's as simple as that, isn't it? The recent controversy that was raised by your Narayana Murthy when he says that 70 hours a week is what we should work for, and that's when our country is going to move forward. Yes, sir, we have already been working more than 70 hours in a week, and we're not getting paid as much as we are supposed to because we are a low cost destination. And you are asking, you are setting new benchmarks for us that we have to work 70 hours or more. And when you are retired, okay, so you have sacrificed all your life and you have got you've got billions of dollars in return and also a prime minister as a what you call damad. But what is the young generation going to get for working 70 hours? I'm pretty sure that they're definitely going to get divorced. That is the first thing that they're going to get in their life if they work more than 70 hours in a week. You see? So in that sense, some of these stories float around and all that. But at the same time, this is the other side of critical side of me. But when you so look at it, I think this is also an opportunity for Zostel sort of organizations to get the corporate tie-ups and make people to choose them in terms of their sales representatives of different what you call salary limits. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to give that organization a better image, that it is respecting its salespeople, it is providing them with a nice accommodation wherein there are more opportunities for entertaining themselves and also more opportunities to know the world. So that way, I think, let's not talk about the money aspect, but let's talk about the other this thing wherein you are really encouraging that salesperson. Gautam.
Yeah, so coming to your last question, how you get your partners to invest in the Zostel.
Yes, please.
A little bit of a sort of a aggregator model. I won't say aggregator model. It's more of a co-business model. So the model is basically, again, I'll say their value proposition. What the value proposition? I said in my last statement. It's not about only the destination. It's about the experience. You are encashing the experience, giving an experience to the people who have Gen Z in mind, young in heart. Coming to my point, if you see the properties of Zostel, they will not select the property directly in the mall road. Instead of that, they will look for a property which is maybe 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers from the mall road, a little bit of outskirt where the property, in fact, the property owner also know the valuation of the market valuation of the property, the commercial valuation of the property is not that as per as which is the properties are there in the mall road. So that is the first point.
Yes.
Then giving the business owner a complete structural and a guidance for the interiors and all with their experience and all, and along with that for the commercial value, giving them the same earning potential what a property in the mall road is earning. And the end of that, if still that doesn't work, what Zostel try to give for the first 2 years, I'll give you 1,000 nights minimum guarantee for maybe a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, 4-room property. I'm taking hostels which are a small property, maybe 4-room, 5-room properties, 2-story and all. I give you 1,000 nights minimum guarantee. By the end of the year, if you won't get 1,000 nights, the minimum balance of with this B2B rate, not the rack rate. Rack means consumer rate, B2B rate means what is the business to business rate. I'll give you that amount, which at least suffice your business by the end of the year. So this is the kind of model they wanted to bring into the market. So it's a win-win for both the propositions, and as well as the business also able to bringing the consumer and target provides its value to its target segment.
Yes, precisely on the point, Gautam ji.
Professor, I'd like to add.
Please go ahead.
Professor, I think this is the dilemma in flywheel strategy where more buyers and more sellers are needed at the same time, to sustain the business model, which is what is happening in Zostel, which is what is happening in Uber, Ola, or any model aggregation model like. So I think to break this wheel, this vicious cycle, we need to put some marketing push like Ola did to give minimum business guarantee to the drivers so that the drivers are there. Only when drivers are there, riders are going to be attracted, and once riders are there, drivers will be there in the cycle, and the cycle starts moving. So I think this problem is to start the flywheel, and to start the flywheel, the company needs to invest in getting one party first, and then the flywheel starts.
So, just a moment. I am writing something. Successfully deliver it. Demonstrate profits. So, just what Gautam ji and Asta have mentioned is what I try to write down in this small point. Why am I appearing like PB? Why my name is PB? My name is nothing. My initials are PB. How come it is appearing PB? Oh, is it Professor Bhavani?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know how come P got into my face. So sorry. Yeah. So in the sense, as Gautam ji pointed out, it is. Amit ji? Please go ahead, Amit.
Sir, I was saying the computer wanted to play the Gen Z part with you.
Oh, is
You
it?
know, the short form of Professor Bhavani.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was a bit scared,
Because
Yeah.
that's what we have been discussing.
So in that sense, I think, if it is selling flowers, let us say the small micro entrepreneur businesses, like selling flowers, selling idlis, selling this thing, selling that thing, they're all very, very, what you call, very old methods, tried and tested methods as to what you do, how you price it, what you say to the consumer, and when you increase the price and when you reduce the price. This is all very, very common knowledge, especially among those individuals who stay together. All those micro entrepreneurs come from a small slum or a shanty town or a poor area, and they're all doing all these businesses. So knowledge flows, the social capital actually helps them out. So if you are not a very good idli vendor, you can definitely take mentorship from somebody who is doing it very well, and he will share the business with you because there is so much to sell. And he too has limitations in capacity. He cannot become Reliance Ambani. He knows that he has got small capital, small this thing only. So he's willing to share that business secrets with you. Whereas we cannot ask Ambani to share his business secrets. He will say, get out of my office because I'm interested in conquering the world. Okay, so please, you come back after 100 years, he will say. So in this case, what is happening is people are interested in doing business. People are interested in investing money. But the only problem is I don't know how to conceptualize a business. I've constructed something in the name of a house or a woman's hostel or a men's hostel, okay? Because some friend told me it is a good investment. But it is becoming a dead investment now. Okay, because as Gautamji pointed out, I'm not close to the center. I'm few kilometers away from the center, so people don't recognize me so quickly. Okay, I can't do the marketing aspect. So then comes the next one, preparing the market. So how I as an individual can reach out to all those youngsters to come and stay in my hostel regularly, I cannot do that because I do not have any marketing knowledge. Then how do I attract these consumers? What do I say to them and all that? And provide the value proposition. What is it that I'm offering? I'm simply offering them a physical space in which they can live for a month and give me a rent. That's not a big deal. So if my town is not a very happening place, then who is going to come and stay in my hostel? Even if it is a happening place, if you are not well connected or you are slightly off the Ola's radar, then people will not come to you because it is not the first preference. So doing all these things and successfully delivering it. See, I have all intentions to do good, but I do not know how to convince the youngster. I do not know how to talk to the youngster so that they feel secure in my premises and they're willing to give this one. Okay. So, and at the end of the day, getting that positive review from them so that their juniors come and stay in my this thing. Unless there is that desperation factor, most properties will lie idle. Okay, that's where you see, even in the busiest of junctions, there are certain shops where nobody goes. Why? Because this business person does not know how to talk. और वैसे भी वो इंटरेस्टेड भी नहीं है क्योंकि उनका पापा ने बहुत सारा करोड़ रुपया बैंक में डाल के रखा है, तो इसीलिए ऐसे मजे से बैठा है बस. कोई कस्टमर आना है करके चिंता नहीं है. इंदौर में आपको बहुत सारा मिलेगा ऐसा. हाँ, they're least interested. They start their business at 11:30 and close their business by 8 o'clock. Arey yaar, if you open businesses like this in Visakhapatnam, you will go to dogs. You will have to be there by 8:30 and open the premises by 9 o'clock and stay till 11 o'clock in the night. Then only people will recognize you that you are in some service. Otherwise, please discount yourself from the business community. Okay, so in that sense, say more than 70 hours after. I don't want to get into the ethical side of the what you call, because it is only the entrepreneur who is putting in his efforts or his family members. So their labor hours don't get counted. So yeah, in the sense they're meeting the standards of Narayana Murthy in one sense. So these people are interested in getting the opportunity. So, as Gautamji pointed out, we need to scout for such properties, such desperation. Okay, so if you say, then only these people will be interested in following the standard operating procedures, because they do not know how to operate their own business. All that you are trying to do is, please run your business, but we will superimpose our brand on your house or your hostel and make it a hostel, and thereby, we are giving you all the business opportunity. Okay, if you are not convinced of our ideas because you think we are out there to cheat everybody, we are promising you some minimum rules, as already explained by Gautam. So in the sense, one, you are trying to convince them with a good business model. Once they see the consumers coming in and using the premises, the entrepreneur is satisfied with whatever you are talking about. Or at least what Indians look for is, तुम क्या गारंटी दे रहे हो? Like वो साड़ी बेचने वाला भी बोलेगा, मैडम मैं बता रहा हूँ, आप 6 बार धो के दिखाओ, फिर भी ये कलर नहीं जाएगा. ये हैंडलूम है या हैंडमेड है करके सोचना मत कि कलर निकल जाएगा. कॉटन है, कलर नहीं निकलेगा. मैं गारंटी देता हूँ. आप लेके आ जाओ अगर कलर निकल गया. कलर निकल भी जाएगा ना, आपके पास टाइम नहीं है लेके जाने का. ओके, तो जब लेके जाएंगे तो बोलेगा मैडम थोड़ा तो कलर निकलेगा ही ना, बिकॉज उसने साड़ी बेच दिया है ऑलरेडी, आपने पहन लिया है और धो दिया है करवा चौथ के बाद. ओके, तो कलर निकल भी गया तो कोई परेशानी नहीं. एंड देन ही विल ऑल्सो से, मैडम मेरा कजिन है जो कलर करता है, आप रेड कलर करवाना चाहें तो मैं नंबर देता हूं उसका. हाँ, so he is finding out another business opportunity using you. You see, that's what you need to respect about Indian business community. That's what I like about them. See, not only they're selling their product and they're standing guarantee for their product, which is in most cases they live up to the expectations based on the budget that you provide. Please also consider the budget aspect. That they're also willing to give you extra support if necessary. See, that small fellow is also trying to give you some guarantee. क्या guarantee है? This is a very common Hindi word, no? क्या guarantee है? I think in all other languages also there is a similar sentence that is available. You see, so he is sales enablers finding opportunity to reject itself. Yeah. So in that sense, yeah. Don't go away, people, because they want to take some whatever political camera thing. Okay, so in that sense, we in our culture want that guarantee. You see, because the Purohit also, when he is doing that puja for you, he will tell you, touch your nose and say mama, and then you ask what you want from the god. He is not being an intermediary. ये जो गलत टीवी में बोलता है कि पुरोहित इंटरमीडियरी बन रहा है. No. पुरोहित is never an intermediary. He is telling you that he is praying on your behalf. And he is saying, you need not tell me. You tell in your mind as to what you want, you communicate directly to God. You see, there is one agarbatti called Ambika Darbar Batti. They say they are a direct connection between the devotee and the God. So if you have Ambika Darbar Batti in your house, you directly connect to God. That's how the brand became very successful. Okay, so in this sense, what you're trying to do is you are trying to kind of find the right entrepreneur, and you are giving him everything. And at the end of the day, what is this entrepreneur asking for? Profits. So you're assuring profits. So that is what they say, at the end of this Lakshmi Puja, what are you getting? You will get dhan, you will get, health, you will get this, you will get that, all that. No. वो करवा चौथ करने के बाद क्या मिलेगा? आपका हस्बैंड लॉन्ग लाइफ जिएगा, आपका हस्बैंड आपको खुशी रखेगा, आपका हस्बैंड आपको सोना बंगला सब कुछ खरीद के देगा. यही तो बोल रहे हैं ना, इसमें गलत क्या है? बट इफ यू आस्क द रत्ना पाठक शाह, नो, शी विल से अरे करवा चौथ नहीं करना है, पढ़ी लिखी औरत है तो करवा चौथ नहीं करना. ठीक है भाई, पढ़ी लिखी औरत नहीं बनना है हमको, कभी कभार गंवार बनना भी अच्छा है. दिन भर पढ़ा लिखा बन के रहेंगे तो क्या थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है। इतना अक्ल नहीं लगाना है लाइफ में, कभी कभार अकल छोड़ देने का है, तो रत्ना पाठक सा नहीं बनने का है? So when you say what you are trying to do is you are giving this knowledge to this fellow which is not available to him. That is the value proposition at the B2B level. You see? So there are value propositions at two levels because you're a franchisee model. You're not doing it on your own because it is going to be a very costly affair. Okay. So what you're doing is your value proposition for the business people, that is the entrepreneur who's becoming franchisee, is that we will set the business for you. We will take care of everything. Just do what I say. Like a nice boss, you see. Just do what I say. Everything will fall in place. At the same time, you're also interacting with the consumers, and then you're saying, pulling the consumers towards the concerned hostel, where you have, started this. So what you're trying to do, every element of this thing you are trying to create. So it is a win-win situation for the entrepreneur. It is a win-win situation for the consumer. It is a win-win situation for the company, or all those other fellows who are trying to earn some business by doing some sort of entertainment activity or supplying some food items or all other things. You're trying to create win-win situations at different levels. So please don't, limit this business model's value proposition at the consumer this thing only. Please also raise it to the franchisee level wherein you are trying to give them something. And that's the reason why they should come and register with you. Yeah, Sukhdevji. But what sort of problems are, after you say, I will ask my question.
Yeah. Sir, I come from a agri-business background, right? And small agri in agri-businesses, the in-shop branding came in the tractor business first. But when we were in, I actually was in Coel, when they came out with a particular product range, started, in the business case which we were explaining to our prospective dealers, there we had put this branding part compulsory, in-shop branding. This is what means you are also trying to do in the, we are also trying to explain in the Zostel case. So at one point of time, people didn't accept. They said that we have been doing it for generations, and people do come and buy, and they don't complain about it. They never complain because they didn't have any choice.
Yeah.
All the things are like that. Yeah. So now, when you give a better option, other companies also started doing, the small other people also followed the same. So the scenario changes now. You can get the franchises and all that people understand that they can make money out of it. They will come. And actually, in the rural aspect, first motorcycle companies came up with, I think Hero did the in-shop branding. Then these tractor companies came up with it, and now these small equipment companies also followed suit. Now the person coming to the shop expects a good, at least a sitting place, and the person expects him to be asked for some, water or tea or whatever. That reception has to be there. Earlier, it was not there, and people said that means why to come up with it. But changes are required, and
Yes.
Once the change brings in positive results, changes are accepted.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it is.
Because at one point in time, like you rightly said, we were waiting for Maruti car after paying, 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees as advance. And then they give us the tiny little Maruti 800 and say, oh, it is a pride of our family because we only have that car. Nobody else in the city has it, or we in the tier 2 city, we are the first consumers to receive Maruti car, but no more. So, though that situation continues for Maruti and Hyundai, a certain most popular products of theirs, but rest of the people are really fighting it out as to how do they sell their product. So in that sense, I think this one, what you said, Initially, probably you will see people will resist it, but the moment they see the money flows, I think this is what my professor used to always, highlight in the class, that first of all, please try to understand the money flows. You know, even in the most mundane situations where the social relationships exist, or there are certain restrictions exist, people try to give a caste angle to it or a religious angle to it. But please understand, if you understand the money flow angle of it, maybe you will be in a position to figure out what to do to remove the money angle from it, and then you will also be able to free the people from the caste or religion angle. So please don't get bogged down with so much of sociology of caste and religion. But if you understand the money aspects of it, you understand why people are behaving the way they are behaving, and you will be able to figure out a better solution for the problem without creating so much of ruckus. Now, Asa, just 1 minute before I forget, or please go ahead. Let me rephrase my question and then come.
Sure.
Yeah.
Professor, I wanted to understand. So when I was reading Zostel case, the decision dilemma was to stay relevant during COVID times. So I wanted to understand the key learnings from this case and how did they meet the decision dilemma from Zostel.
I think that maybe Gautamji can help in here. What did they do? They did something in terms of social media and all that stuff, but I don't know the nuances of it.
So, see, COVID time, it for 1.5 years, it was kind of a very bad for the entire travel industry, and it's not. We've seen a lot of brands, a lot of organizations have to shut down or trim down. So, of course, the way it goes ahead, when precisely the first wave and the second wave combinedly came in, though that there were businesses in between the first wave and second wave for 2-3 months, again the second wave came in, again it from post to that 2 months or 3 months later, August or September, things again started getting normalized. What most of the, I won't say only specifically for Jostel and all, a lot of travel brands similar to Jostel or in a same kind of they try to collaborate with a lot of people. That's one thing. The other important thing, collaborate as in wherever you find opportunities, or if you can, do collaborate in terms of where there is a necessity. Typically, as in the case study, even we seen Ola actually, Oyo collaborated with hospital segments. It's not only Oyo. In fact, in NCR also, we know there are other hotel groups also. They collaborated with even the government of Delhi government to provide spaces and all. That is one point. Apart from that, also they try to do a lot of community building, helping out the peoples and all to keep their brand stay relevant to. But of course, everyone had to stream down to certain excess, and they knew what kind of losses they need to bear, and depending on the funds, depending on the capital investment, couple of brands also did shut down.
So again, in the sense, they also did some digital platform stuff wherein sharing certain details and all. Amitji.
So just to answer, ask the question. So what they did, they started the common room, and even the Instagram live pages wherein all the people belonging to different communities, they were showcasing art. Even they were playing, PlayStation's games. There were some music concert. So all these people, who were there as part of those community, when things normalized, they came back. They stayed in the same hotel because they were connected because of any event that has happened. So that was the good part which they have done as part of the case. And of course, they did collaborated with the hospitals during the COVID time. OVA was specifically highlighted this, highlighted by Gautam as well. So these are the two common things. Social media was the highlighter wherein they did the brainstorming and they were able to tap that space.
So then, Alokji.
Sir, actually, I just wanted to conclude 2, 3 points only and not take very much time.
Please go
During
ahead.
this course, actually, from initial to end, basically they have been started the business just because of they were able to visualize the potentials once they attended any business school program in abroad. So the main point is that whenever as a marketer, if we are just moving into market and we are finding any like opportunity with some pain areas, so we should be understand about these pain areas as well as with the value addition. How can we just add the value with the pain areas so that we can start up any business or just move ahead for the existing business? First point. Second point, once you have been started the business and running with your own strategy, so there are definitely there will be some external challenges will be there in the market, like COVID and the demonetization and GST applications. There are so many external factors which we have been going through since last 6 to 7 years. So as a marketer, there should be the contingency marketing strategy approach should be there, so that if there are any kind of challenges are there without any sudden, it can be happen at any time. So as a marketer, we should be ready with the contingency approach, so that how can we just handle the situation. In the same case, they did they have just started with the digital platform and give the platform to the travelers to share their entertainment things like music and these all. So at now at the third stage of this case, now after COVID, how they should just we should continue with the scenario. So they come up with the proper guidelines, like now how you can travel a lot and what do's and don'ts the traveler should be follow. So the key learnings is there, like initially how can we start and then ready for the any challenges and then continue with the concept. That's all about it.
So yeah, in the sense as Alokji pointed out, Astha, I think the most important, I have written down some 4 points that you can take out from the class. But I think the most important thing, connecting the last point that Alokji mentioned, is that you need not be what you call too innovative in the idea part of it, okay, or the business part of it.
Because needs
But-
always pre-exist. So
the needs are existing, but the thing is, the way you address that need, the way you are presenting the value proposition, and the way you are able to attract the audience to fulfill the same old needs is what makes all the difference. I think that is what this gospel is trying to do. So overall, the same persistent need was there, same persistent pain point was there, but they tried to kind of make it amenable to the latest audience who is coming in. So again, like I mentioned in the last point, as Alokji was pointing it out already, that is staying relevant with the audience. Because please understand, the generations are very quickly changing. Like between the 4 children in our own family, or 5 children in our own immediate family, the elder one is 11 years old and the younger one is like 1 year, 14 months, so to say. There is a big difference between all these 5 children that we interact with in our own family. And the last and the latest one is the biggest brain, Intel Pentium 28 he is. Whereas the first one, I think the 11-year-old fellow is like Intel Pentium 16 or 15. So there is so much of change that is happening within the alpha generation also. So one has to be very careful as to what are these increasing, what are these changes. So when somebody pointed out they used the digital platforms. So with the changing usage of these digital platforms, how fast are you running with the generation? Okay. So and how fast are you able to modify yourself? So in that thing, I think there is also one more possibility for using your guerrilla marketing in terms of earning some revenues from your hostel premises. As to, it need not be that we are emphatically advertising Coca-Cola, but we can put those hidden away somewhere without mentioning Coca-Cola, but somehow we are trying to communicate the waves and everything else that is that red and white in the Coca-Cola that memory that stirs your memory and pushes you towards Coca-Cola. It's as simple as that. So I think Zostel's other business wherein it can get little more money for itself is also utilizing this guerrilla marketing opportunities and tying up with the advertising agencies because it has got that captive space which is meant for the audience, which is youth in nature or youth in mind, so to say. You see? So in that way, they'll have to constantly figure out again, I just want you to think about the opportunistic behavior because this is going to be, we will discuss this in the next class on 25th because it is already 1:15 and all, that Paul fellow will be waiting for you. I want you to think about, ये सब इतना hunky dory नहीं है. Like our I dot, N dot, I dot, A dot, something. I can't even pronounce that. Whatever that. India, in between, there are so many dots, no? So that fellow, whoever is coordinating it, they're unable to even bring out one statement which is common across all, you see? So when you say franchisee or to taking in, you have all bookish standard operating procedures, you have created the spaces. But opportunistic behavior by the individual entity who has tasted the blood, okay? You have made him as somebody out of nobody, okay? But the problem is once he becomes somebody out of nobody, he starts speaking the way he wants to speak, he starts behaving the way he wants to behave, okay? So how do we ensure that he still remains with us and doesn't, start doing things on his own? आपको वहां पे लेस चिप्स नहीं बेचना है ऐसा स्ट्रिक्टली बोला गया है पर बिकॉज पीपल आर आस्किंग फॉर इट इसने चिप्स का दुकान खोल दिया फिर वहां पे सिगरेट भी बेचने लग गया फिर वहां पे गुटखा भी बेचने लग गया दिस इज ऑल नॉट अलाउड ओके सो व्हाई आर यू सेलिंग गुटखा सर कुछ यंग लोग है वो बीड़ी और गुटखा भी एक्सपीरियंस करना चाहते अरे ठीक है वो एक्सपीरियंस करना चाहते तो बाहर दुकान पे जाने को बोला ना जॉसल में क्यों बेच रहे हो नहीं सर बहुत पैसा है इसमें वो लोग एक्स्ट्रा पैसा भी देने के लिए तैयार है निर्दोष सिगरेट भी बेचने के लिए राजी हो गया अरे व्हाट इज दिस so this opportunistic behavior is very much prevalent both in the this kind of franchisee model so how is McDonald's kind of organizations ensuring that whatever their head office is saying from America and New Delhi or Bombay is being implemented all across India? So what sort of opportunistic behaviors do you see in this kind of business and how do you control that? I think that we will discuss in the next class for 10 minutes and then we will conclude it, because I think वो Ola case भी वैसा ही है, more or less same aggregation that is going on. So I think, if time permits, let's discuss that. Or else when you come to the campus, then we will discuss it. क्योंकि fashion channel भी हमको बात करना है.
Professor, we can only discuss the key learnings from the Ola case study as well, so that we can brush through the concepts.
क्योंकि more or less they are aligning with what we discussed in the Zostel. वो हम लोग बात कर लेंगे after discussing the opportunistic behavior of your Zostel franchisee owners, So उसके बाद ओला को थोड़ा समेटना आसान हो जाएगा, है ना? So we will do that and then we will go ahead and do the other thing because we have got 2 sessions in campus also, no? So वहाँ पे भी हम लोग बाकी सारी चीजें भी adjust कर सकते हैं. So let me plan it that way. But when we meet on 25th, there is only 1 session. So उसके हिसाब से हम लोग planning करके हम लोग डिस्कशन कर लेंगे, ठीक है? अगर जरूरत पड़े तो ऑन कैंपस वी विल डिस्कस दैट फैशन चैनल, वो ठीक रहेगा, थोड़ा और मजा मस्ती आएगा. जैसे हमारा सुखदेव जी तो पूरा नोट्स प्रिपेयर करके पीपीटी भी बना के आ जाएंगे तो हमारे लिए आसानी हो जाएगी, है ना? So very much looking forward. ठीक है? So we will meet you on 25th. Don't forget me. My name is Bhavani Shankar. I'll meet you on 25th November.
Yes.
We will always thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Remember he was PB.
PB. Yeah. Thank you.
Professor, wish you a happy Diwali in advance.
Oh, yes. Wish you happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali
to you. Happy Diwali, sir.
Please buy your local sweets. Don't buy Cadbury's and don't gift anybody Cadbury's or any kind of chocolates. Please buy the local fruits which are available seasonally in your locality. please encourage local sweet vendors by purchasing local sweets only, because this is our festival. It is not a multinational corporation's festival. It is our festival. So let us, give that humble son papdi to our friends.
And
Even
diya and
sir,
candles
the
and
diya,
candles
the
from the
mitti
local
ka diya,
vendors.
right?
Yes, वो चाइनीज
Yes,
का
yes,
दिया
Amit,
मत खरीदिए
absolutely.
प्लीज,
Yes,
मिट्टी
sir.
का दिया खरीदिए,
Thank you,
ताकि
sir. Thank you.
लोकल वाले जो हैं वो थोड़ा, और अदानी का तेल जरूर खरीदिएगा। मेरे को पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है अदानी से, बट मैं ऐसे ही बोल रहा हूँ।
Right, right.
Yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy your Diwali with your family, and we'll meet you on 25th November. ठीक है?
Wish you
Sure,
the
sir.
same,
Looking
sir.
forward.
Thank
Your
you.
wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
sir.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.